I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. Trudy, can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Dan Hines,
Here.
Trudy Gallant here, Richard Ishberding. Richard? Can you hear us?
Yeah, here,
All
Northport.
right. Northport, thank you. Rick Foster,
Present.
Chet Yannick,
Northport.
Here,
Ty Wessel,
Here.
does,
and John Gallagher.
Present.
he needs to state the reason why he's remote, because he has to meet one of the three criteria.
Yes, to statewide.
Just as, you have to say, does he meet one of the three criteria?
He does, he
Okay.
already had contacted.
Okay,
me
so I'll
earlier.
make sure we have.
That's why we, set it up.
All right, thank you for roll call. Next on the agenda is the approval. At this time, I would like to add a number 5 for discussion of parcel in Bingham. I emailed you guys yesterday regarding it. Parcel 001 111 01000. And is there any one that would like to discuss the YouTube?
No, I
Have that on the agenda?
Richard, can you mute yourself until you're ready to talk? Thank you.
Hearing nobody else, I would look for,
Move to approve the agenda is amended.
thank you, sir.
Second?
Second. Chet. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes from July 20th, 2021.
I move to approve the minutes. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Thank you, Trudy.
Yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment.
Very briefly, my name's Larry Mobby. I'm here to introduce you to Peninsula Housing, which is a very recently formed nonprofit community land trust. We,
Oh, excuse me, Larry, can you go to the table so that we can pick it up?
oh, you can pick it up? Okay. Are you picking it up now?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. My name's Larry Mobby. I'm here representing Peninsula Housing, which is a very newly formed community land trust that our intention is to work with interested parties, land bank, brownfield. I'll be here for the brownfield meeting in another hour, and developers of any sort, profit or nonprofit, who are interested in providing affordable housing for Leelanau County for the long term. We're concerned, as most land trust organizations are, about perpetuity. So our goal is to own land and structures as necessary to keep make affordable housing available today and for the future. But other than that, I'm here to listen and learn. This is the first time I know conceptually a little bit about what the land bank does, and I believe that Peninsula Housing can be a valuable partner for the land bank, for the Brownfield Authority, and for entities like Homestretch Habitat or other developers of housing in the county. Thank you.
Could I ask Larry a question?
Speak a little bit more about how you think the land bank could work with you.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know that much about what the land bank is able to do. I'm learning about that. My sense is that the land bank has both properties in its inventory and potentially in its inventory that may be suitable for affordable housing construction. Regardless of that, there are funding sources that we know we can work with as if the land bank owns the land for a period of time. Based on the presentation from last week from the state land bank about the authorities that the land bank has, it seems compelling to me that we could, there's a place where we can fit with the activities of the land bank. I'm also hopeful that the county commission decides to allocate some of the ARP, I don't know what the acronym for ARP funds, to the land bank, potentially to create a revolving loan fund, which would, I think, benefit everybody, but particularly in the case of those who want to try to create affordable housing, it can be another tool that can be used. All right, thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move into discussion action items. First thing on the agenda is our budget. As presented, it is a very straightforward budget. We're not anticipating any projects because we don't have anything really slated for the coming year. However, we wanted to make sure that we have some basic expenditures and revenues posted. And as we progress into 2022 and things develop with the foreclosed parcels that we have acquired from Treasurer's foreclosure, then we will come back to this body for budget amendments. At this time, I would open it up for discussion if somebody has any questions, comments, and we look to try to adopt this and ratify it so that we can have it on record that we've got it done for the year. But does anybody, yes, sir?
I just got one small question. The TIF revenue budget, you got like $7,500.
Yes, sir.
The highest it's been in many years is like 4,074. Are there new TIFs coming in with summer taxes?
Well, we anticipate getting, which we have to follow up on because I haven't seen it, is the reach parcels that we partnered with up in Northport. Those have all been sold and reverted back to the tax roll. So yes, we will see
More coming in.
more coming in.
Okay.
Additionally, the parcel in Sutton's Bay, Middle Street, that should be on the tax roll this year. Last year we had Habitat sell it on our behalf. We took the proceeds and we applied them to the Maple City project. So that parcel should be on the tax roll. So yeah, we have a few that are going to be trickling in. And we should have gotten paid for those already. So that's why I'm looking at the number and thinking that the townships haven't allocated it. And I'll make sure that that does happen. Any other questions, comments?
Well, knowing that the budget is flexible and can be modified at any time, I move that we include the budget as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, We'll move on to Brad Trevor's band. Excuse me. We've been approached by the band for a parcel that we did foreclose on and have acquired through the tax foreclosure. And the tribe is interested in the property. With that being said, I think that it would be neighborly at minimum to engage them and express our interest to work with them on this property. We do have back taxes that we did pay in the amount of $2581.20. I would set that as the minimum that the property could be transferred to the tribe if this body is interested. Yeah, I would like to open it up for discussion to get everybody's thoughts and concerns regarding it. Dan?
So you say it's landlocked, so that means there's not even an easement to the property?
There is an easement, not a recorded easement, it's just by right of use. If it's the parcel that I recall, we foreclosed on the parcel north of it and sold it to McSaubie, who put a small house on it. This is a parcel to the south of it. It's a family-owned complex, and this is behind the tribe's right-of-way. So on the west side of M22, heading north before you get to Omina, on the west side of the road, there's parcels that run all the way up towards Omina, and there's a right-of-way that the tribe owns, and then there's the parcels, and they own everything behind these parcels, but they have these odd slices that have been left out over the years. You don't know how, but the tribe has expressed interest in this parcel, and I don't see any reason why I would be encouraged to engage them to try to work with them. But
If you, well, first of all, we're beyond that period of time in which you have to offer this up to auction, right?
by the new law, the Land Bank Authority has basically the same first right of refusal as the county. So when we exercised that this summer, we paid the county treasurer for all these parcels, and that took it off the auction block.
Good. But if we sell it to this party and we collect and we agree, let's say on $5,000, we have to return the excess?
No, that only applies for the treasurer's sale, to my knowledge, and Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But the parcels that are acquired through the land bank are not subject to that same take back. Is that correct, Jeff?
You're talking parcels that, like you said, you took possession of as the land bank versus the treasurer through the auction.
These are parcels that were tax foreclosed.
Yep.
And purchased through the first right of refusal from minimum bid.
Yeah, any proceeds wouldn't necessarily, you could keep the proceeds.
Right. Thank you.
This is, if I recall correctly, the same person who had a parcel foreclosed on them years ago that we took back.
Same family member. I don't think it's the same person.
Okay, when I pull up, it appears it's the same person, but.
Oh,
So I just looked at the map, there's 4 parcels from 22 headed west, and the first parcel along the road is owned by the tribe, and there's 2 in the middle, one of them being this parcel. and then the tribe owns behind it and north and south of it.
Yeah.
So they own all around this particular parcel. One of the things I mentioned to John, I don't know if there'd be any ability to do this, but the tribe has some parcels that are just outside of Omina. And I looked up, they paid quite a bit for them, they're close to the railroad. And I think it was part of a whole transaction with them acquiring some railroad piece, but there's two of them that, to me, look like they would be properties for housing that we could potentially use. My thought was just, would they engage in conversation of swapping some parcels? Maybe there'd still have to be some financial contribution there as well. Something's worth more than the other, but we could at least ask the question, we thought it was worth it.
And I'd be happy to do
Just
so.
west of Omina, I
Right.
mean, not even half a mile, I think.
John, you're just asking to enter a dialogue with the tribe, right?
Yes, and permission and information as to what this body is willing to transfer this parcel for.
Can you project that map?
No, I can't, that's being controlled in Laurel's office, but it's, if you want to take a look at it quick, I've got it pulled right up here.
Do you know what the tribe would be interested in?
This parcel here
Yeah,
is the
property
one that we're
for-
talking about.
I believe
This is
For a
owned by the
family.
tribe, and this is, this.
Around that
this big
is
piece
all
up here, and this, so just
housing.
these two parcels, the treasurer or land bank wants this. one,
And
and that's
they
owned by
might
this
then
lobby.
put that into the
So everything else is all shot.
Grand Traverse Band property. We
I
wouldn't get
don't
any
know.
property taxes.
I can't, I don't know if they can do that.
I'm trying to picture how.
I don't know if they own property that
Yes.
automatically
So if I zoom
reverts
out,
to a non-taxable
Okay, there's the curve.
entity,
yeah, here's the.
or
casino
if
out
it's
here.
still subject to tax. I
When
don't,
you get to
I don't know. I'd have to ask equalization for that.
So
The two parcels she talked about, is that in the band's name? So
No.
They can, okay.
Well, the ones that we foreclosed on and did a demo on were privately owned, but again, with the tribe owning around it. The tribe actually, what I was told was deeded that section between the road and the parcel. There's a right of way of 30 feet or 60 feet to the west of the road. They deeded that to the owner of the new house. So, beyond that, I don't know much more.
Do you mean the two parcels that I was talking about?
Yeah.
Amina? Yeah, they're in the tribe's name.
Okay.
Well,
They're
that-
right on the corner of Kelchick and Tatch Road. You have two pieces right there.
Well, it seems logical with Trudy's proposal, at least having dialogue. So it seems logical that John and or Trudy could have a dialogue with the tribe and then come back next month with some options, some specific options. Because right now, John, you don't have a proposed price or anything,
No,
right? You
no.
just- And you've really had no
This
concrete
is,
dialogue,
this
right?
is, no, this is the engaged dialogue right here is July 29th.
Yeah.
email.
And I like what Trudy proposed, at least having a dialogue, or maybe swapping and some type of a partnership with them.
Yeah.
So I would say, I would feel comfortable having you have dialogue, and you don't need our permission to dialogue, but.
No, but I wanted to bring it before the board before I did engage them, and if there was any concerns, I wanted to.
Well, I would appreciate you and or Trudy having dialogue about that parcel and also the tree board about potential swapping
Very good.
assets.
That seems like a good idea.
Is there anything else that you guys would?
I believe that parcel is adjacent to Sunset Lodge. And I know there's been some concerns that that parcel sits there and there's a camper.
Oh.
And somebody, so I would think that we wanna, I would suspect that Sunset Lodge would also like that property. it's a nice piece of property if it's adjacent to the lodge. I don't know where that fits, but
No, I'll reach out to both. And that way we make sure that that works. All right, well, thank you, everyone. I will reach out and come back with the update. Number 3, I have an update, just a brief one with Habitat. I reached out looking for home stretch to see where they are with the funding and the application. Indicated here, John Stepson wrote that he's in holding till November 20th, which is the deadline for the federal home loan awards. And he also indicated that he has sent a request for $300,000 to the Board of Commissioners for ARPA funds. And on the next page, you'll see that the donations received by Homestretch for this project. So funding has been somewhat secured with regards to, I guess you're calling it the Vineyard View Apartments. So I just wanted to bring it back to this board for a brief update.
And they've got till the end of December, or we have the choice of extending it, or?
That's my understanding, yes.
and what do they need by then? What's the total that?
I think it's more this loan or award, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis award. If they get secure financing through them, through the award, that's going to secure that so they can proceed with the build. So that's what we're basically waiting for. If he does not receive it, obviously he's going to try again for the next cycle, but we would have to approve that before he applies. Any other questions or anything that you want me to ask Ben Beck regarding Homestretch? All right, hearing nothing, we'll move to update discussion on land bank training held on 9/17. Trudy?
We had Jim Tischler here and Jeff Hawkins. We had 20 registered. I know we had more than that, but I forgot to do a head count. So it was a good turnout. We had a few developers here. I've been in contact with 2 of them since then. So that's a good sign that they're interested in finding out what could be done to help them with their projects. And I thought it was just very interesting to find out how we can use the land bank to a higher potential than what we have been, especially for housing. And Jim Tischler and Jeff Hawkins went through that and just kind of really explained the process in more detail and answered questions. So we have this tool, we have the ability to do more, and now it's a matter of kind of pulling everybody together, all these different organizations, to find out how do we do this and where can we do these projects.
And can you elaborate, I mean, the importance of working with the brownfield and to utilize the full potential of these tools?
Yeah, that will be really important, because to use these tools and to really capture the money through the TIF to repay eligible expenses, we need to have brownfield plans in place. I just talked with someone yesterday from Village, wanting to know how they can support us, and I said, well, the biggest thing is when we come before you with a brownfield plan, we need your support. We need you to prove that. So they were on board with that. So that's going to be really important to make sure we have this process lined up. And I think the other thing is to get the developers involved early, because they start going down the track and then they want our help. And a lot of them don't understand the process, that it takes time to get this, that it takes time to get it done. It takes time to get the brownfield plan in place and then go through those steps for approval. So we need to get to them quickly. Jeff wants to add any more to that?
Well, one thing I wanted to make this board aware of too is through the TIF funding, we're able to capture the stopgap, the difference between what an individual can pay and what was actually incurred in the development of the property for affordable housing. And that stopgap can be added to the brownfield plan for the developer to recapture as part of the TIF. So that's, I see that as a big incentive for some of these developers, like Saks, that want to do a project in Elmwood. And also with Homestretch, here in Suns Bay. If there's a gap, a brownfield plan would be the most beneficial for them to utilize for that.
I think, John,
Yes.
I think one thing that is worth mentioning as part of the process for using this tool is to continue to have more conversations with how to fund that gap. Whether it's through a bank, whether it's through the Land Bank Authority, the county, community foundation, sometimes even the state land bank has funds. But, that differential that you're talking about between the cost or value of a house and what an individual in a particular economic ability can afford, we got to find a way to fund it. Those are some of the conversations I think we need to really start having. Whether that's the builder that wants to do that, or a bank can do it, or be willing to do that. How does that impact the primary mortgage and so forth? Which hopefully it shouldn't. But anyways, just throw that out there because I think we need to start having that conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
I wonder if there'd be some value in having Jeff and Mr. Tischler meet with local governments that have to approve those TIF agreements before
They were all,
approached at the deadline.
they were all invited, and they were made aware. It's just unfortunate that they don't participate, and seek out that information.
My concern is the developer gets all ready and then they go to the local government and the local government doesn't understand it and doesn't approve it and we lose an opportunity.
And we're trying to figure out a way to navigate that. And, Trudy's been instrumental in the past years, holding these seminars and trainings to get developers and to get local awareness of these tools. But
I think another point too to bring up is that we are currently working with the state land bank with a group of companies and individuals on developing a how-to manual, if you would, with respect to housing and using tax increment financing as a tool. I would anticipate that probably towards the end of the year is when it's going to be ready, I hope. But that's something too that once it's out, we can share that with local units. We can share it with developers, builders, et cetera.
Very good, thank you. But no, I think that's a great idea, and I think as they develop that worksheet and program, we can distribute that out to the locals for more information.
Probably the best way to get the awareness out there and get other communities on board is we have a successful project using it, and then others see it and say, how did you do that? How'd you get that housing in that community? So that's what we need to focus on, is get one of those small success stories that we can build on.
For instance, Castle, when we went in there and did the project with Habitat, a few years ago, they didn't bat an eye when we wanted to do, those additional units last year. Everything kind of went seamlessly. No pushback from local government. And that's going to be subject to the 550 capture when it's completed. So I think that is key, is to have a few things under our belt, push.
We've got 3 people here from Northport who have our fingers crossed about that hospital project. And if this can help with that, that would be great.
Yeah. Any other comments regarding the training? All right, I'll move to number 5, which is the Bingham Road parcel.
Oh, can I just add one thing? We do have the PDF of all of the slides if anybody wants it, and we do have the taping of it as well. So we'll be posting that.
Thank you. Did everybody have a chance to look at my email yesterday? I brought a few handouts if you guys wanted to look at the map. So, check.
Oh, I got it.
So the parcel in question is this tiny radius on 641, the 001, 111, 1000. This is, I just call it Grant's Corner. The Grant family owns the property to the east immediately and to the south. With that being said, as it's divided, this was probably originally with the development on the west side of the road, and it had been lopped off just because of the terrain. If you guys are familiar with that corner, it's a very steep incline, not a buildable lot, and not even accessible to use for a road. So this is just a piece of land that the assessor found that wasn't on the roll. She put it back on with the valuation, and there was no owner of record, so it was foreclosed as unknown, which is kind of frustrating as the treasurer is concerned, because we like to foreclose on owned properties, but nonetheless. I don't know how this body has done side lots, and I was gonna ask Trudy for more feedback on that. Because we did foreclose on this, and we have, as the land bank is concerned, $986.47 invested in this. However, it's a worthless piece of property as far as I'm concerned, but I'm a farmer, so I just look at this and go,
You can't build a home on
you can't build a home, you can't use it for road access, but the grants have,
it. Well, if the farm got plotted for housing, then that could be accessed, but other than that, it's useless.
it's
Too steep.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
40+%.
Yeah, it's very steep. I drove by this morning, looked at it.
Mhm.
In the property policies and procedures, under the adjacent lot disposition program, it says we can convey it to an adjacent property owner in our sole discretion. And then it states what a qualified property is. One of them is that it's not buildable.
My concern is going before the grants that have expressed interest in this parcel, that they're going to refute or counter the 986.47 that we have invested into it because of, but I want to ask this body if I can approach them and also what dollar amount that you guys would require to transfer the parcel to the interested parties.
Did I understand that that there are interested parties
The grants.
next door, adjacent?
They have the big farm piece next to it.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest contacting them and offering it at what we have in it and see what they counter.
Okay.
And then after we sell it, we get the $550 on it, which for this piece may not be very much money. But at least let them know what we have in it and see if we can get that back.
Yeah, 3 years worth of taxes came to $275.
I agree with Trudy. That seems logical.
Is there,
You know, it may not be buildable, but looking at the map, it gives them more road frontage.
road
It's
frontage,
steep, but they're,
road frontage,
Yeah.
that's the only benefit that I see, for a division.
Did you plant grapes on it?
No. You can get a mound going on, that's about it. But,
Bailey.
What's the greatest width on that? About, looks like it's about 40 feet.
Lori,
Is it?
Lori.
yeah. Can you do that?
yeah, I can measure it here quick. Let's try. This would be to the edge of the road, not the center line.
I can see where the grants would want it. It makes sense. They're probably the only logical people that would be interested in the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
about 60 feet wide to the
That's-
edge of
that's
the
bigger than
road,
I
not
thought.
the center line.
I think if they'd be willing to take it and give us what we have in it,
Yeah.
we'd be lucky.
That's my sentiment, but I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth either, if they're interested, I would rather see it on the tax rolls and in the proper, ownership than really the $900, because it costs me a lot more money to foreclose on it than, just the value that's applied to it.
Well, John, I can, it seems logical that you just approach them and say, this is exactly what we have into it, give them all the proof that it's X dollars, and see what they say. I mean, it's not a lot of money. For that piece of property, if I was them, I would probably be very interested in acquiring it.
So I will, go ahead and approach them for the 986.47, and if they counter, I'll bring it back to this board. If not, I've got the ability to go ahead and sell it for this amount. And that's in our policies and procedures, Judy.
Yeah, it's our sole discretion to sell it, so.
So,
Is there a view from behind that area? I'm
Mhm.
looking at the
Yeah.
area, so you can see out over Lake Leelanau. Oh, and they own all the trees in front of it, so they can take them down if they want to for the
Right.
view. I mean, there's gotta be some value to them.
that-
It looks
that's
like there's a cleared path sort of parallel to the property line. Up to about where it looks like there are trucks parked.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they have up there.
It
Knowing them,
looks like some buildings,
Could be,
piping.
I would say irrigation.
It's irrigation piping, yeah.
So that's
And there's a tower there.
probably a holding tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, any other comments or concerns regarding the approaching the grants for this vacant property?
You may point out to them that you are authorized to accept their offer if they have amount of money.
I will,
And just lay it out and say, this is it.
and see if I can get a few pumpkins,
Yeah, there you go.
sweeten the deal.
At least 7 of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Would we have the ability to stop by and pick our pumpkin up? Because they have different colors of pumpkins
They do.
they sell. so.
So no, I will come back to this body with the results of that discussion. Going to post audit, we didn't have anything for claims and accounts. Post audit, we had the foreclosed parcels, which was approved by this body, and that was in the amount of $12,714.94. Additionally, Habitat presented the expenditures related to the parcels in Maple City, and those included $1,800 to Prince Lund Engineering, $2522 for the same, $8365 for the same, and then $187.95 for the parcels for winter tax. to the amount of $13,249.57. These have been paid, so I look for approval of host audit 2596.51.
I've got a question, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
I think you mentioned this before, that we're not gonna put new money into this. We're gonna let them use up the proceeds from Suttons Bay, Madison Street. And that's where this 13,000 comes
Correct.
from.
Correct.
And
We've got that funded off as a separate cash holding account. And they are able to draw those funds down as they incur them until they have exhausted those funds, at which time
we're done.
We're done.
Okay.
No more action, or no more expenditures can be incurred by this body until it's been approved.
And then the foreclosed parcels, you're gonna have more of this because of summer taxes and winter taxes, right? You have to pay those too.
No. No, because it was our acquisition through foreclosure, it comes off the rolls. And so I will reject the
Okay.
taxes. I always have a fight with the assessors come December. So, is there any other questions? I still need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. For post audit, August presented for $25,964.51. I call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're back to public comment. Hearing none. Member comments?
I just have one question. Now that we're the owner of 7 parcels and you're talking to the grants for one of those parcels, we have 6 other parcels now.
Well, one is the tribe as well.
Okay, so that's 5 other ones, including one at Timberley, one at Cherry Home. Are we going to just hold on to those, or are we going to try to talk to like Habitat or Homestretch to start developing?
I have introduced those parcels to them and provided them with a list. Just with the amount of projects that each has right now, and with contractors being rather scarce at this time, they're not really biting at the bit to get into a new project. They're trying to just see current projects through. As I'm aware, the Maple City project is still in its infancy stage. I mean, they were just moving dirt as of last month for the septic. And I would suspect that Homestretch has got a lot of resources tied up for this Vineyard View, which is the project that we're waiting on for funding there. I don't know who else to approach.
We've got a new man in this room. Isn't that line of work?
Yeah.
And we just talked briefly about the home, what's it called,
Homestretch.
No, the property in Northport. That's where this one parcel.
By Sunset,
No, this one that we foreclosed on. There's that subdivision there that's right on the water. There's like many lots.
Cherry.
Cherry Homes.
Yes.
We had thought that we could sell it to like Habitat, and Habitat would say, well, this is out of our area, whatever, but they could sell it for market value and use that money towards Maple City or partner with them and on Timberley or something like that. Could we consider something like that?
If this body is so desired, yes. If you want, I can have somebody look at it from real estate perspective, as far as a listing amount. You want me to bring that back? Is that what you're?
No, are you saying we can keep all the proceeds then if I thought the problem was if we gave it to Habitat, we sold it to Habitat for a nominal amount and they had no use for it, they could convert it, I guess, with our approval, like we did on Madison Street in Suttons Bay. And then that money could be used for other developments.
And therein lies the question, why would we have Habitat do it when we could do it and have the money in our reserves rather than Habitat's?
Yes, but we would act as contractor. We have people on our staff that could do we have the capabilities of doing that?
No, but when we eliminate the parcels that we're holding and, gain cash for them, what we've done in the past is remediation, as far as demolition of Maple City project. All those funds came from the property on M22 where Windows was.
Mhm.
So that we got $187,000 for that parcel on the bay. We used that funding for the demolition of the Mill Street property. We used that money to actively acquire the lots in Maple City. So that's what I'm saying, use the money for.
Okay.
I can appreciate where Dan's coming from, especially if we're not sure if we have to give back proceeds, and it sounds like, no, we don't have to. But being involved in this body as long as I have and seeing parcels that we got rid of and then shaking our heads on why did we do that?
Right.
I'm more of a mindset now to proceed cautiously and hold on to these and really kind of look it over and see what our options are. And maybe Habitat and Homestretch aren't ready right now.
Right.
If they will be in the future, or another organization comes forward and says, we'd like to build a house there.
This is the scarcest resource that we have. So I would be very hesitant, as Trudy is saying, to dispose of any properties before we really exercise, all of our efforts.
And many of them that we got rid of are still vacant.
Yeah. The Timberley
So
properties.
they're for sale, or they're holding on to them for a higher value at some point. We could have done that. I know there's a holding cost, which brings me to the parcels down in Timberley. Are those for sale? Is that gentleman doing
No.
anything with those?
I walked by there, there's no signs, nothing.
He's just holding them. I mean, it took me 2 years to get the deed restrictions off and well testing and everything. I mean, it cost us tens of $20,000 or so. And 20 some lots. We sold it, all one package, to a developer, and it's been 5 years?
Probably, I'm just surprised because, and with the price of property now,
Yeah.
there's an access road that's there.
Yeah.
The lots that are there, even if they sold at a moderate rate, you still get his money back plus much more. So I'm not sure I don't know what the developer's planning on, but I'm just surprised. If any time, now would be the time to put those lots on the market.
You would think,
You would think, yeah.
so,
And they are buildable lots.
yes, they are. So I guess that's,
Okay.
we can exercise and entertain, the disposal of any of these properties if this body wishes to. It's just, as a commodity, these are too hard to come by. Vacant, unencumbered parcels. And I think we should hold on to them and really try to get them into affordable housing some way.
Right. That's the overarching
Yeah.
goal, is to put them back on the tax rolls and our bylaws suggest, affordable housing is one of the things we should seek to do. through. So if it means holding it until the market's right and home stretch is ready or habitat, we can go from there.
Yeah, or another entity for that matter. So,
The other 4 parcels, I forgot now, they're in similar situations where there is a value there and the longer we wait.
I believe so. I mean, I can go through the list again and come up with a recommendation for the next meeting, if this body would like that. Yeah, give you more detailed information as
Yeah.
far as lot width, maybe if there's some zoning information that I can present or something like that.
Good.
So let me come back and provide an update on the tax foreclosed parcels. Anything else?
Yeah, I want to compliment you, John, for hosting that Habitat fundraiser last Thursday night at your place. It was very well done, very professionally done, great turnout. I think substantial amount of funds were raised. And they acknowledged the land bank for the partnership. And one of the keynote speakers was Trudy, and she did an excellent job of kicking off the event.
Thank you, Trudy. Appreciate
No,
it.
but it was well done. I think it really raised awareness. And I think it was at capacity crowd based on tables were all full. And so thank you for hosting it, because I know it was a lot of work on your family's part to do that.
No, it's, it is a kind of a pet project for me, and my wife is in the education system, so I mean, it is very close to us, and I appreciate it.
And we forget there's people behind these houses, and the lady who will be moving into one of the houses was the keynote speaker. She was almost as good as Trudy, but she talked about how she is one of those stats. She is a single mom. She got pregnant as a teenager. Her mother got pregnant as a teenager. Housing has been a challenge for them. It was a challenge for her family, and she keeps talking about the cycle just keeps repeating itself. And her goal is to break that cycle with her kids. And so she gave very passionate speech of what her personal life was like. It was very difficult because she's not a professional speaker. It was very intimidating speaking to a large group of people that are probably financially much, much better off than she is and have not experienced what she did. She said, I'm one of those people. Look at me. You know, I'm a single mom, twice over. I made mistakes. I come from an alcoholic family. Housing has been a struggle for us. It has been for my parents. And she says, my goal is to break that cycle, and I can't do it without your help. So I mean, she did a great job, I thought.
No, and, you know, that's where the passion comes into it, is it does 1 and 2 homes. I mean, every time we flip one of these parcels, it does make a difference. I mean,
And she had her 2 young boys there with her too.
oh, very cool.
Yeah,
They came up with it.
and
was
it wasn't planned. First halfway through the speech, the younger boy came up and hugged her. And then I think the other boy probably felt like he should be up there too, so he came up and hugged her too. So they couldn't have planned it better.
No,
You know, there was probably,
that.
6 speakers, and by far, she's the one that people left remembering, which is the goal. It wasn't a canned speech. You could tell she was speaking with her, and she was very nervous because she sat at her table and she could barely eat her dinner because she was so nervous about speaking to this group of people.
Thank you.
So it was very well done.
And Trudy, thanks again.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
I know I'm out of public comment, but just as a suggestion too, is that at some point in time, you know, as we move towards going through some possible affordable housing opportunities, we don't want to forget that we might want to reach out to the employers in Leelanau County. I mean, there may be some fundraising effort that could be done to help support gap financing or create a fund or something with employers in Leelanau County that are trying to, you know, keep their employees in this area to help, you know, work in their operations.
Absolutely. appreciate that.
That would include the townships.
Yeah.
You know,
So it was,
in our township, I don't think any of the EMTs live in this county. That's scary.
with no other, comments.